Hello and welcome back to a series on the channel where I give my head-ass take on the best or worst adaptations of a fictional alien robot, and you either get mad at me or you kind of agree with me. I know I have been gone for a very long time, and I truly apologize for that. I didn't say the word correctly, apologize for that. There is a pretty good reason why I've been gone for so long. I've been working on a full review for the 2007 Transformers movie. I've been putting off other videos because I wanted this video specifically to be a 1,000 subscriber special, but it's taking so long. So I was like, I might as well do a video for something else. So here we are. So if you do want to hear my review for the 2007 movie, subscribe. Here on the channel, we've talked about Bumblebee. We've kind of talked about Megatron. We've talked about Starscream. We've talked about Optimus, and today we're going to be talking about arguably the best, no, actually I take it back, the best Decepticon. Now you can tell already that Soundwave is my personal favorite Decepticon for a multitude of reasons. I feel like Soundwave is a lot of people's personal favorite Decepticons. It's either that or Starscream. He's smart, capable, loyal, cunning, and a brilliant spy. And he just looks so cool. He looks cool in so many adaptations, and I don't think Soundwave's ever had a bad design.
No.
He's had a sense of mystery behind him because he's always seemed different than the rest of the Decepticons. His mind is focused, and rarely does he ever get distracted. While everyone seems to be goofing around and failing missions like idiots, Soundwave is more calm and composed and usually gets the job done. Nothing around him matters except for the mission, and I think that's why he's Megatron's favorite. And if you don't think Soundwave is Megatron's favorite, then you haven't been watching enough Transformers, my fellow nerd. I think Soundwave is the only Decepticon that Megatron genuinely likes. He follows orders without question and admires Megatron without being a brown-noser like the other Decepticons. He has this presence to him that's intimidating and unpredictable. You never know what he's thinking or what he might do, but up until recent years, we haven't had that many adaptations of Soundwave. We've only had 2, excluding video games. But we aren't going to be talking about video games on this series because most of the characters in the game would be on this list. Best adaptation of Soundwave would probably be from the game. The best adaptation of Cliffjumper would probably be from the game. The best adaptation of Jazz would probably be from the game. It would be less interesting if every character's best adaptation I talk about is from the games. But today, we're not going to be talking about the best. We're talking about the worst. But I don't think Soundwave's ever had like a really bad adaptation. For the most part, it's pretty solid all around the board. There's an underwhelming version from the Bayverse series where he barely does anything. He learns information because of plot convenience, tells his minions to do things, kidnaps a human, and then dies. But I feel the Bayverse Soundwave retains some of those attributes that make Soundwave an interesting character. And there's definitely a horrendous version of his voice from the Netflix show. Usually when I say horrendous, I'm usually joking, but this time...
The complexity of this code is considerable.
Robots in Disguise ruined the mystery of Soundwave from Transformers Prime by making him talk throughout that one episode he was in, but he still felt like Soundwave. I personally don't like how bulky he was in the show, or the bulkiness of everyone in the show in general, and I was so close, so very close to putting Transformers animated Soundwave as the worst, only because he originated as a toy that Megatron built. And even as a kid, I didn't like that. His loyalty to Megatron felt inanimate rather than organic. It was like he was just a drone programmed to obey Megatron rather than it being a choice. But then I remembered, there was a Soundwave that's actually far below animated. Transformers Prime Soundwave. His arms are too flat, his legs do this thing, his TV screen is so ugly, and the worst part is he turns into a surveillance drone. Why is Soundwave a surveillance drone? He's supposed to be a cassette player. Okay, this joke is kind of dumb. This joke is kind of dumb. The real winner, well, actually I guess the biggest loser, is Transformers Cybertron Soundwave. This time I'm not joking. He's so disconnected from the Decepticon cause, and like most of the Decepticons in the show, he doesn't really do anything. Let me give you a quick rundown of everything he does in the show. He has a pretty cool entrance, I'm not gonna lie. He guides Megatron to Gigantia. He roasts Megatron after he got his ass kicked. Then seconds later, he just skedaddles because Megatron accidentally turned himself into a nuke. He skulks the shadows, saves Sideways from a blast that probably wouldn't have killed him anyways, reveals his secret evil plan to destroy Cybertron, gets into a fight, gets into another fight, and then he gets warped into another dimension. Or he died. It's meant to be left ambiguous. Either way, he's out of the series completely, never to be mentioned again. His entire purpose in the show is just to be a plot device to get Megatron to the Omega Lock. He just randomly shows up in the dead of space, and because of that, he doesn't really feel like a Decepticon or really care about what Megatron has going on. One of the most important character traits that I think Soundwave should have is his undying loyalty to Megatron. He has no loyalty to Megatron or the Decepticon cause as a whole. We don't even see him have a conversation with Megatron. And even without that character trait, he doesn't have much to do or contribute in the show other than deliver 80s Harlem catchphrases. And they're awful.
He's tripping cause he got served.
I feel like the writers literally wrote down things that DJ say, put it in a bowl, and randomly picked what dialogue he was gonna say during the 5 episodes he was present.
Right, kids, that ends tonight's broadcast. See you on the floor soon. Peace out, Bong.
He's like if everything Jazz said was something a black guy would say. They did do that, actually. The problem with his DJ dialect is that it doesn't feel organic. Jetfire is obviously an Australian guy, but he doesn't go around saying crikey all the time. He just speaks, and he just so happens to have an Australian accent. Even when he does say things that a typical Australian would say, it doesn't sound forced, it sounds organic.
I'm just worried about Primus. I mean, we gave the governor a jump start, but he's not 100% yet. Besides, we shouldn't leave the old bloke alone.
Next, I have to talk about the sound of his voice specifically. Now, I know I said there was a horrendous one already, but honestly, this voice is kind of on par with the other one. It just doesn't sound good. Like I said earlier, he doesn't really feel like Soundwave, and his voice is a contributing factor. Usually Soundwave's voice has some kind of rhythm to it, like he's competing against T-Pain or something.
Affirmative. Rumble transform.
Silence, fleshling. I have evolved with the help of your seed.
Your ambitions are irrelevant, like the activators who have served your purpose.
He doesn't have that symphonic echo at all. Is that what you call it? I don't know what to call it. But this Soundwave's echo is monotoned. It's the same sound effect every time he speaks, regardless of the pitch of his words.
My name is Soundwave, and I know my way to Gigantian.
It's like someone's just pressing a single button every single time he talks. It doesn't sound like it's woven into his voice. It sounds like it's two separate things just being slapped together.
That's how we roll, or have you forgotten the ways of our people?
Soundwave?
For real, Sideways, don't forget why we are here.
Now, I could overlook all of this if he had a good story. So does he?
Not this time. We got you.
He and Sideways are from Planet X, but Planet X was running out of energon, so they set out to find some, and succeeded when they came across Gigantia. Unfortunately, Planet X wasn't really planning on asking nicely, and invaded the planet. Gigantia fought back, and Planet X was losing, so Planet X invented a weapon to take them out, but the weapon decided not to work, and then the planet decided not to exist. And now Soundwave's entire plan is to get revenge. So they need the Omega Lock to unalive Gigantia, which is what I thought was the reason to join Megatron in the first place. Wouldn't it be in their best interest to join Megatron and help him get the Omega Lock? I think if you had just asked, hey, before we go to Cybertron, can we destroy Gigantia first? He would say yes. And then at some point, Megatron just keeps getting his ass kicked. So they were like,
I'll do it myself.
but it doesn't come off like that in the show. Megatron loses one fight and then Soundwave just leaves because he didn't want to blow up again. His story feels forced, just to have some kind of depth to his character, but it's so black and white that it doesn't distinguish himself from the already black and white villains in the show. He quite literally just wants revenge. We don't actually know if he was trying to use Megatron the whole time, or if he agreed to help Megatron as long as you destroy Gigantia, because again, they don't ever have a conversation about anything. And the worst part is that he reveals his whole plan and sad backstory the minute he's caught snooping around. The Autobots don't interrogate him or force him to spill the beans in any kind of way. He's just like, you caught me, but since you're already here.
Why don't you all just sit back and listen while the DJ spins the story? Back in the day,
All around, this version of Soundwave doesn't really strike me as interesting or unique. He was in, I think, 5 episodes, and then I'm pretty sure he showed up 3/4 into the show. So I am officially deeming this Soundwave the worst iteration of Soundwave. Officially, you get a star, called the worst version of a specific Transformer.